About 5 years ago.
Who'll know?
City Ordinance 864B, subsection A.
Excuse me, it says here your age is 35?
36.
Oh, thank you.
The Wedding Bells Matrimonial Agency, Rachel Bronson, proprietor,
Please, would you come this way?
is hereby ordered to cease and desist and stop any further business.
Excuse me, it says here your eyes are brown.
Well, sort of hazel.
Hazel? Oh, this I like better.
Transactions connected with the...
Excuse me, do you play golf?
No, I bowl. The aforementioned Wedding Bells Matrimonial Agency...
Excuse me, could I ask you a personal question?
What is it?
How do you feel about girls that dance in fountains?
What are you talking about?
Never mind. What am I gonna do with her?
And all furnishings, files, ledgers, and accoutrements...
Accoutrements? You speak French?
Well, I learned it in high school.
Well, I should have known if I waited long enough.
What are you doing with my picture?
I have to send it to her.
Send it?
How else is she gonna know what you look like?
Who?
Oh, the one girl in my files who, according to Luella Parsons, is just waiting for a man to come along, 36 years old, hazel eyes, a French-speaking lieutenant. Who else? Bridget Bardot.
Bridget Bardot?
So you couldn't make anything stick, huh?
One of those cases. No one will testify against her, no evidence of money exchange.
Oh, it's ridiculous. We got to close her up. Well, stay with it, Ed, no matter how long it takes.
You better get somebody else on this, Chief. I may have to leave at a moment's notice.
What do you mean?
I may have to take a little trip to Paris.
Paris?
Yeah, I expect word any minute.
Word?
Well, I guess I can tell you I'm planning on getting married.
No kidding. Congratulations, you lucky stiff. Who's the girl?
Bridget Bardot.
And according to Section 824B, to be padlocked until the disposition of this case.
Listen to her. Such force, such energy in a woman. Your husband must be proud of you.
Husband? I'm not married.
Not married?
I'm not married. I've never been married, and I don't intend to get married.
Shame on you. How could you be so selfish?
Selfish?
Yes, selfish. Depriving some poor floundering man of such a dynamic, enchanting wife. When I think of the men that you could make happy.
Like who?
Would you step this way, please?
Eddie Fisher. Eddie Fisher?
I know what you're thinking. I'm getting him on the rebound. But, Chief, he needs me. He's made of stone.
What's going on around here? We've already filed charges with the district attorney's office. Somebody's got to go there and close her up. Maggots!
Oui, mon chéri. Que voulez-vous?
Oh, Mr. Clark.
Look, what's going on here? You filed charges with our office against some phony matchmaker. I set a trial date. Where's the evidence? Who's the accused? Look, the district attorney's...
I'll handle this. Don't you worry, Mr. Clark. I'll handle this myself.
You wouldn't be in Albany all the time, Mrs. Galagucci. He travels a lot.
Mrs. Brunson.
You'll have to wait a minute. She was here before. While you're waiting, you can look through these pictures. If you see anyone...
Forget it. Crown, chief of the Bunko Squad. You're out of business.
Out of business? Listen to him. Business was never better. From your department alone, I'm up to my neck in work.
The party's over, Mrs. Brunson. You, out.
Out? Out? Mrs. Galagucci, you are ordering out. When she's married to Nelson, she'll remember that.
Nelson?
Nelson Rockefeller. You don't know your own governor?
Governor Rockefeller?
A civil servant talking that way to the future First Lady of New York. You must have independent means.
I'll tell you how I talk to the First Lady. Look, Mrs. Galagucci, how gullible can you be? How could anybody in their right mind think that Governor Rockefeller would marry you?
Excuse me. Would you repeat that? I want to get that statement exact. How could anybody...
What's that for?
For the newspapers.
The newspapers?
Well, Mrs. Galagucci told all her friends, and I'm sure the Italian-American voters of this state will be interested to hear that Governor Rockefeller thinks he is too good for Mrs. Galagucci.
Now, wait a minute.
So you'll sign the statement, and the governor will know who spoke for him.
No. Let's not lose our heads. Mrs. Galagucci, I'm sure that Governor Rockefeller would consider it an honor.
It's too late. Now I wouldn't have him if he was the last man in the world.
Don't get too hasty. Governor Rockefeller is a warm, charming man in the prime of life.
I'm no longer interested. Barry Goldwater is available.
Mrs. Galagucci, you couldn't do better than Governor Rockefeller.
Not interested. No Kennedy's available?
Mrs. Galagucci, if you got to know Governor Rockefeller.
Never. If that's how he feels about me.
That's not the way he feels about you. I'm sure if he sees you, he'll love you. Talk to him. Talk to him, Mr. Clark. Tell Mrs. Galagucci what a wonderful husband Governor Rockefeller would make.
And by fraudulently promising these trusting old people, movie stars, as husbands and wives, Your Honor, this woman, whatever her game is.
Game, schmame. I'm just trying to make people happy.
Happy? And what happens when these old people realize?
What old people? It's the Hollywood movie stars I'm trying to make happy.
Hollywood stars?
Of course. Here in the Bronx, we have the happiest marriages in the world. It's in the records. But do I have to tell you the mishmash that goes on in Hollywood? So why shouldn't these poor movie stars marry nice, simple people from the Bronx and share our happiness?
Your Honor, this is ridiculous.
Ridiculous? If Bette Davis had married a nice young man from the Bronx with a civil service job, she'd be happy today. And she wouldn't smoke so much.
That's all, Mr. Bronson.
Thank you.
Call Officer Muldoon to the stand. Your Honor, we will now prove that in the 5 years Mrs. Bronson has been a marriage broker, she has promised over 1,000 people marriages to movie stars, statesmen, kings, and that not one of those promises has ever been consummated. Officer Muldoon, you've investigated every one of Mrs. Bronson's clients?
Yes, sir.
Would you please tell the court how many of these poor, misguided clients ever got married?
Every single one of them.
But that's impossible. Do you mean to tell me that Miss Helga Schultz married Yul Brynner? Or that Aaron Flugelman, a butcher of Tremont Avenue, married Greta Garbo?
No, but they married each other.
Each other?
That's what happens with all of her cases. They keep on marrying each other.
Your Honor, I'll prove he's wrong. Mr. Eisenberg and Mrs. Harrigan. Your Honor, Mr. Eisenberg was promised Joan Crawford, and Mrs. Harrigan...
Excuse me. The name is Mrs. Eisenberg.
Eisenberg?
We were married this morning.
Mazel tov.
But, Your Honor, these are marriages of desperation. They can't possibly last 6 months.
Excuse me, sir, but there hasn't been one case of divorce in any of Mrs. Bronson's matchmaking. It's pure love.
Pure love? Mr. Eisenberg, you hardly know her.
I know only one thing. She must love me. She gave up Charles Boyer for me.
And he gave up Joan Crawford for me.
Well, Mr. Prosecutor?
I'll admit, Your Honor, this puts me in a spot.
You're in a spot. What should I say? I have to break this to Joan Crawford.
Your Honor, we withdraw the charges.
Case dismissed. Mrs. Bronson, I'm not going to allow you to play with human emotions and thwart the law without letting you know how I feel about it. Now, wait for me in my chambers. I have a civil ceremony to perform. I'll be right with you. All right. Do you, Ed Magnuson, take Margaret Callahan to be your lawful wedded wife? I don't know, Mrs. Bronson.
But married to a nice, dignified judge like you, would she go dancing in fountains? What on earth? I'll send a letter.
There's a holdup in the Bronx, Brooklyn.